The demo for Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince dropped after the latest Nintendo Direct. Not that the game was shown in the English versions. It's fairly lengthy, taking me a bit further along than I expected, but of course stopping short of letting me get into a proper boss fight, at least one that doesn't require grinding. Interestingly, the demo does carry over your monsters, but none of their levels or talent points, so aside from trying to get some of the super strong monsters, I wouldn't go out of your way to play much more past the stopping point. After all, it's still 2 months away. In The Dark Prince you play as Zaro, whose name is not pronounced by anybody, so I'm going to pretend that's how you say it, and is also hot and everyone in the game knows it. He's also the main antagonist of Dragon Quest IV, so it looks like we're doing the builder's approach of being kinda maybe somewhat connected to a mainline title. Skipping 3 I suppose. I can't take the story too seriously after a small tiny village managed to raise a gigantic stone tower within 2 weeks out of nowhere. Based on pre-release screenshots, the main characters of 4 will be encountered throughout this story, so I'll be interested to know if it's going to be a completely separate reality, or if they'll try to make it somewhat fit in with 4. And then I'm also not sure if it'd be better to play 4 first, or if the connections and references will go both ways. Which, despite some people's opinions, that tends to be how a lot of prequels work. I've actually never played a Dragon Quest Monsters game, though to be fair, I didn't get into Dragon Quest until the port of 8 on the 3DS, and well, it's been a while since we've gotten a Monsters game in English, let alone at all. I did, however, review Dragon Quest Treasures last year, which I may have rated a point too high, but I did genuinely have a lot of fun playing it. Thankfully, this game is going to have a lot more monsters in it. While not really shown in the demo, a lot of boss characters from 11 are going to be recruitable, which for a couple is kind of a funny thing. But basically, Dragon Quest Monsters is a monster taming game. Your excuse this time is that your father has actually cursed you so that you cannot harm monsters yourself, therefore fighting fire with fire is your solution. Within the demo, you help a fellow elf away from slavery and set out to be the toughest monster wrangler you can and get revenge. Combat is turn-based with a setup allowing up to 4 monsters, though the larger ones take up more space, but in turn get more attacks. Initially, I thought I couldn't really control my monsters at all, but I just had to wait for them to level up and then I could assign new skills. The talent trees let you level up towards all sorts of different things, such as immunities, particular elemental spells, or just stat increases. In battle, you can select attack wherein the monsters will follow based on your tactics choices, with auto battle basically repeating that until the battle is over, or you can directly order which attacks to land on whom, with the exception of the arena fights you'll need to progress. In those, the most you can do is set up the tactics like putting a slime to focus on healing, assuming he's got any spells, and hope your team is tough enough, having to pay an entry fee and beat several teams in succession. I don't really like using auto battle, but from the demo content there really wasn't any reason not to do it with max speed on, outside of trying to scout new team members. Taming a monster requires you to make a show of strength, meaning you don't attack and then a percentage rolls for whether they'll join. If not, they'll get mad and hit you a bit harder. There is also a low chance for a defeated monster to ask to join you after the battle. Of course, dealing more damage throughout the fight will increase your chance a little bit, but the best bet is to beat a few levels of the local arena to improve your reputation and then go recruiting. Monsters is one of the many taming series to use fusion, called synthesizing in this. You can do this on your own or with different NPCs who will offer one of their own to match with, even suggesting a particular pairing, which reminded me just a little bit of trading NPCs in Pokemon, though monster battles in Dragon Quest do just precede the biggest collecting series of them all. These fusions also inherit a few different talent trees, letting you create a monster capable of dealing several different kinds of elemental damage, to name one possibility. After one fusion, I was once again met with the Japanese developers not taking other languages into account when the flying saucer monster name did not fit into the character limit despite it being its actual name. There's a seasonal system where the seasons will change over time, which leaves different parts of the map open or closed and a few changes in monsters. Going through the tutorial was kind of funny since I apparently left my town for an entire year with how fast they changed. This is also the second Dragon Quest spin-off in a row to fail the Zoom test, which is immensely disappointing. What isn't, however, is the return of mini-medals that were rather conspicuously missing from Treasures. The graphics are okay. Thankfully there's a nice variety of visuals shown, such as a spooky land, or another one where fireballs rain from the sky. Unfortunately, there is a lot of pop-up, which is something you really don't want in a game where contact initiates a battle. I also have a complaint about some of the Day 1 DLC. The treasure chest dropping items from a set list is one thing, but the others are facilities for your tower that clearly should have been regular unlockables. Unless you cough up $10 or more, you won't be able to access features such as the dungeon that lets you scout monsters you found before, or a randomly generated dungeon. This really isn't okay at all and is frankly turning me off the game, especially because the prettiest cosmetic DLC is tied to one of those. I'm not as excited as I was prior to playing this. I would have at least liked a challenging fight that didn't involve grinding to touch an overpowered monster placed in the area. So far it seems like a game I don't have to put any effort into, which ups my willingness to play, but I still might give it a go. Thanks for watching, and please let me know whether you would eat this slime from this end or that end. Bye!